Hello everyone. Welcome to another YouTube live. I'm very sorry. Apologies for the delay. There was a lot of network issues. I'm from Mumbai, and as you know, it's raining quite heavily in Mumbai. So there was quite an internet issue over here. And sorry again for the delay. And thank you for joining in. I can see there are a lot of people who have joined in, and thank you for coming in. So, as you all know, that uh, Geeks for Geeks has again come with the Geek Olympics, and as you can see, it's from the 1st of July to the 31st of July. And as usual, we have come with a lot of goodies, and a lot of gifts for you, and a lot of exciting things that we have planned that you can basically participate in, uh, practice questions, and win a lot of different things, and also add a lot to your learning as well. By practicing online, solving problem of the day, solving different ESA questions, solving different questions related to different domains as well. And while maintaining your streak, you can just claim for different gifts and different goodies as well, right? So there are a lot of things in the chat. Yeah. uh, Okay, so Adarsh Gupta said that you all are already 3 hours late. Yeah, the session was supposed to happen at 6 p.m., but I was not available at 6 p.m. Was available at 9 p.m. Right. So to give you a quick introduction about myself, my name is Prakash Sakari. I work as an SDE at Geo, Reliance Geo. I am also a mentor at Geeks for Geeks. Previously, I worked at Geeks for Geeks and have made courses and uh, a lot of live sessions on uh, Geeks for Geeks. But right now I'm working as a front end developer at Reliance Geo. And the tech stacks that I generally majorly work on is React JS, Next JS, right, and JavaScript. That is what I work on. So today's session basically is about best practices of MERN stack, right? But so for that, I've actually uh, have something in mind, right? I'm not just going to share different PPTs or something like that, but I'd like you all to ask questions, right? What questions you all have in mind, you all can shoot those questions, and I'll be happy enough to answer every question that I have, and I'll also share my journey. So share my roadmap as well, what roadmap I followed to get into Geo, to become an SDE at Geo, right? Where I started, and I'll be sharing all of those things as well. But before that, let me just give you a quick walkthrough of the Geek Olympics that we have over here, right? Um, just let me know if my screen is visible to everyone. Okay. Free course. We'll discuss about all of these things as well. Okay. Uh, okay. Just let me know if the screen is visible. Is the screen visible? Um, okay. Suav, are you there? Suav, are you there?
Hi, Prakash. Hi, everyone. This is Swerve from the Geeks. Prakash, I think you can basically share your screen at the bottom. You'll find
I don't
some
think
tools out there. You can
I'm
just
not able
check
to
them
share
out.
my screen. Can you share your screen?
Yeah, sure. I'll share
Yeah,
the
I'll have
screen
to
and you can
restart.
like, yeah, sure. No issue. I'll share the screen and you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
just go on with it.
yeah. So Suav is sharing the screen. In the meanwhile, I'll just take few questions which are there. For a backend developer, it's just important to have all knowledge of MERN stack. Just having knowledge of a programming language and DB language doesn't work. So for a backend developer, you're not expected to have entire knowledge of MERN stack. You're not expected to have knowledge of front end. As for a backend developer, you're expected to have knowledge of APIs. You're expected to have knowledge of database, how databases work, how APIs are created, what is server side rendering, what is client side rendering. You need to have knowledge of all of these things, right? And obviously a programming language and one any of the framework, right? That is required for a backend developer. Okay, cool. So yeah, again, coming up with the Geek Olympics. So if you can see, this is what Geek Olympics is, right? You can register if you have not registered. So it's from 1st July to 31st of July, and there are these different events, to keep you engaged. There are events like these Code Extremes, these Hack Wars, these Geeksters. You can just click on any event and explore the events, right? There is about job as well, right? If you see, if so if you see, there is job arena as well, right? You can explore this as well. There are jobathons. So Geeks comes up with these jobathons, and it has partnered with many companies where we do not guarantee placement, but it is placement assistance. Like for example, some companies come and they put up their questions, right? And we conduct basically a jobathon for them, and the people basically who qualify these rounds, people who basically are able to solve these questions. Generally, these are DSA questions. So if you're able to solve these DSA questions, you basically clear the first round, the screening round for that company, and then the company basically takes it further ahead. So this is what Job Arena is, right? And then if we go down, so if you see, there are offers on. So these are different courses. Like if you want to become a backend developer, there are offers on these courses. There is offers on full stack development course as well, which is my course, which I've been teaching. Then there are offers on all other courses, right? On every courses, we are having offer for the entire week, for the entire month. And as the as the days just passes by, the offer basically will keep on reducing. So just don't waste time. Just grab the offers, grab these courses, because these courses are already pocket friendly. And then if you apply 30% discount, 40% discount, then it becomes more pocket friendly for everyone, right? So you can basically take these courses and add more to your learning, right? And then there are different prices as well. So if you see these prices, you can get a tablet, you can get basically a watch as well, right? So how do you get these prices? By staying consistent, right? By performing well, you can basically get these prices, right? If we scroll a little down, can we go a little down, so yeah. So that's about the entire Geek Olympics. Just participate as much as you can. So it does not take a lot of time. See, it'll hardly take you half an hour in a day or 1 hour in a day. And I know everyone can basically take out at least that amount of time from your day. And you know it will be in the major, and it will just help you in your preparation for in all of these things. Whatever we do, it basically adds up and helps you in your preparation, and moving further ahead in your next journey for whichever company basically you are preparing for. Okay. So, and then I'll just show you my course as well. So the course basically that I have been teaching. So since we are over here for Monstack, let's just have a look at what Geeks for Geeks offers for full stack development and for front end development. So we have category wise. So there is a course on JavaScript as well, right? So if you could share the courses page where we have all the courses listed. S- so we cannot see the courses page. We can still see the Geeks Olympic page itself.
Okay, just give me a minute.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. In the meanwhile, I'll just take a few other questions. So the question is, uh, as a front end developer, is it important to learn DSA? So to be very honest, as a front end developer, if you are very good with your front end skills, right? If you're very good with your front end skills, like if you're good with uh, CSS, if you're good with JavaScript, if you're good with any of the framework like React JS or a library like Angular, then there is no need for DSA, because a lot of companies currently are not asking DSA questions, right? Couple of companies are still asking DSA questions, but most of the companies are not asking DSA questions. So if you want to be a front end developer, I'm just specifically talking about front end developer, then DSA is not that required. But yeah, see, they you will be asked logical questions, right? One or two logical questions you will be asked, right? You will be asked from a given an array of numbers, you have to find the frequency of all the numbers. That means, for example, there are let's say there are characters A to Z, and then A is repeating 5 times, C is repeating 7 times. So they'll ask you to find the frequency of the characters, and then find which character is being repeated most number of times. If there are multiple characters having the same frequency, which is repeated most number of times. So questions like these also come. So a little bit of logical questions you need to practice, but something like trees, something like graphs is generally never asked in for a front end developer. Okay, cool. So coming back to the courses page, right? So if we scroll down, right? So if we if there are offers on all the courses, but still, since the session is for Monstack, we're just going to web development, right? In web development also there are offers on all the courses. So if you see, there is uh, Python backend development. If someone wants to learn backend development, then there is full stack development with React and Node.js, the third course which I teach. So this is a live course which I'm basically teaching. So the beauty of these courses is that along with live sessions, you also get recorded content as well, right? So there is a lot of value for money, right? It may look that it is a 12,000 course, but then there is 30% discount, and within the course you have access to all our recorded courses. So there is a JavaScript course which I have which I have built. There is an HTML CSS course which one of our mentor has made. Then there is a course on React JS as well. We are adding a course on Node.js as well. So there are live sessions which happens every Saturday, Sunday, right? Which has project building and which has Q&A with the mentors as well. And then there are these recorded sessions or recorded courses also, which you have access for, I think, for more than a year, something like that, which you can basically watch in your along with your own pace as well. And then there is access to doubt support, where you can ask doubt on doubt support, and it will be resolved within 24 hours, right? And then we have a Discord channel as well, where you can put your questions, interact with your fellow classmates, and the TA is already always there. TA is basically a teaching assistant, and the mentor is also always present over there, because I'm quite active on Discord as well. So you can take this course, right? It's a 2.5 month, basically 20 weeks, 20 sessions, not 20 weeks. There are 20 sessions, right? Every session is roughly around 2 to 2.5 hours, right? So this is a very, very good course, right? Then we have placement assistance as well. Along with all the courses that we have placement assistant. So placement assistant is nothing but a test, right? So once you complete the course, then you are given a test. If you clear the test, basically we send in your reference or your resume to different companies, so that we help you in placement assistance. It's not a job guaranteed course, but I guarantee you one thing, that if you join this course, right, uh, you will basically be able to reach a certain level where you can appear for interviews, right? You can make your resume that ready. You can have that skills which basically will help you in cracking interviews. That is what I can guarantee. And if you could scroll down, so there is a course. Then there are courses related to language as well. There are courses on JavaScript, which I have created. There is course on Bootstrap as well. So these are the different courses that basically we have over here. Okay. So this is about the entire Geek Olympics and all the things, right? So now, so I've shared a link in the chat. Can you share that for me, please? So what I've done is I've created a roadmap for entire full stack development with best practices, and I think there are projects as well that I have in that. I I believe I do not have projects, but I have all the topics which are required to learn Monstack. Right, this is a complete roadmap. If you follow this roadmap, there is nothing else that you require to become a front end development. So this is completely Monstack, right? This has, so MERN basically means Mongo, Express, React, and Node. Right? So this is a completely MERN stack based roadmap. So first you always start with version control, right? So there is Git, there is GitHub, there is Azure as well, there is Big Bucket as well, there is GitLab as well. So there are different version controls, but since Git and GitHub is free, so you can use Git and GitHub. What you have to do is you just have to practice some basic commands like how to create a repository, how to clone a repository, how to uh, add changes into the repository, and then how to take a pull from a repository, what are branches, how to create different branches, right? And different commands, right? Push and pull, fetch, right? How to delete a branch as well, how to revert changes from the Git. So these are some basic commands that you need to learn. And whenever you are using GitHub, always use command line. Do not use GitHub desktop, because in companies generally people do not use GitHub desktop. In companies you'll always see people companies using Git, the Git command line. So learn about this. What is Git? What is GitHub? It's nothing but like, so I hope you know what Google Drive is, right? What do you do in Google Drive? You can store your images, you can store videos, you can store some documents as well. So GitHub is nothing but like a Google Drive for codes, where basically you can keep your code, right? And you can share it with someone, and someone can also change your code as well, right? Just like Google Drive, where you can share your photos, videos to someone as well, right? But with GitHub, you can basically do pair programming as well. Pair program is where, let's say, I and Suav are working on a project. So Suav basically is working on some feature, I'm working on some other feature, but it's the same project, it's the same repository, and where both of us can basically push our codes together onto the repository. It's like a cloud storage where you can save the code, right? Once version control is done, then basically you start with your front end, right? So so front end, uh, this is quite a very simpler phase and a very loving phase, where you start learn with HTML, right? In HTML also there is something called a semantic HTML which has come right now. You learn about accessibility as well, right? What is accessibility? How a website is rendered on the page. Now I'm not talking about how internet works. How internet works is a different ball game, but how a website is rendered, that is another different ball game. So you learn about that as well. In that you'll basically learn something called as visual formatting model, and object document object model as well. So this will take roughly around 1 week for you to complete HTML, right? But HTML should not take more than a week. Then comes CSS. In CSS you need to spend a lot of time, right? Because as a front end developer you need to be good with your CSS skills, right? Because you need to show a very good designed website. So CSS has all of these things, right? Especially the latest things like flexbox, grid, media queries, animations. You need to be good with all of these things, right? CSS should roughly take around 1.5 month for you to be done, right? So where can you practice CSS from, right? So there is something called as front end mentor. Okay, I will just put the link in the chat so everyone can see it. So there is something called as front end mentor, and front end mentor basically has a lot of good challenges for you, right? So you can basically use front end mentor to practice HTML and CSS, right? So it basically will give you Figma files as well, design files as well. It will also tell you which color to use, what is the font size, and everything. So I've just put the link in the chat, front end mentor. You can practice it from there, right? It should take, and you should make projects, make clones, right? See how YouTube is there, make clone of YouTube, though it is not functional, but just make the HTML and CSS for YouTube, or make any e-commerce website with only HTML and CSS. It should not be functional, it's okay, but practice HTML and CSS by making some of the other projects. Okay, so after CSS, let's move down. So after CSS, basically, you basically have to come to any programming language, right? So there is something called as CSS framework, where is you can, it's optional. There is no need to do it right now, but if you get time, you can do it. Then comes JavaScript. Every topic that I've mentioned in JavaScript is very, very important, right? So you start with the basic of JavaScript. Functional programming is very important when you learn one stack development, right? A lot of people just learn very basic of JavaScript and then jump onto React or Angular or Vue.js. That is very wrong. Your JavaScript should be very important, very strong, right? That's basically the foundation. JavaScript is nothing but your foundation. So if your foundation is good, then everything is better, right? Because these frameworks will come and go. React JS is there today, it can go tomorrow. Angular is there today, it will go tomorrow. But your foundation about JavaScript will always be there, because frameworks can change, but a programming language will never ever change. So foundation should be very, very good, right? So all these topics, how JavaScript works under the hood, what is asynchronous JavaScript? Asynchronous JavaScript is where basically you get a data from an API. So getting data from an API is nothing but asynchronous JavaScript. Document object model, that is one of the most important topics in JavaScript. How DOM actually works, right? How DOM actually works, how an event is selected, that is very important. So you can learn from there, right? If you want to learn from a video, then you can go to my course, right? So the link is always pinned in the description, in the chat as well. So you can go to my course. I have covered all of these topics. It is from basic to advanced. There are projects, there are interview questions, there are practice questions, there are assignments as well. And I've taught it with all the latest technologies by using ES6. The ECMAScript have integrated everything, right? Projects also have API calling and everything. So it's a complete JavaScript project. It's complete JavaScript course. If you take that course, there is no need to go anywhere, right? It's a complete course, complete in every sense, complete in each and every sense, with projects, with practice questions, with interview questions as well. What questions are asked in the interviews? I've collected a lot of questions from my students, and all the interviews that I have given also have collected the best question that is generally asked and put over there. And even while teaching, I'll whenever there is a topic, I always say that whether this topic is will come in the interview or not. So covered all of these things, all of them. And and I've put a list of projects for JavaScript that you can make, like a notes app, an e-commerce product page, a cart page, right, a movie app, and all of these things. Once you're done with JavaScript, then you can basically start with React.js, right? But in JavaScript also there is something called as these important topics like closures, polyfills, right? All of these topics are very important. Everything related to functions, you have to do it. Higher order functions, right? Pure functions and closures as well, right? Then comes your library, React. Now React is not a framework, it's a library. Now why everyone is learning React? Because everyone is using React, right? Because React has a lot of advantages, like creating a virtual DOM. React is quite fast as well, quite efficient as well. Something called as functional programming as well. So React has a lot of performance optimization things, and React keeps on integrating it. So for those of you who don't know, React is actually developed by Meta, right? Facebook, Meta. So the developers at Meta have developed React, and all of these big time companies like Netflix, right? All of them are basically using React for their front end, right? All of the and even at Geo as well, right? At Geo, we work with React. I am constantly working with React. All the things that we develop have been developed using React right now, right? So all of these topics, like what is JSX, what is functional programming, what is conditional rendering, right? What are hooks? Hooks are very important when it comes to React, like the use state hook, the use ref hook, right? The use effect hook, and all of these hooks that I've mentioned, context API, all of them are very, very important, right? Then after React, right? After, so there are projects also I've given: e-commerce library, e-commerce project, a video library, a travel app, a quiz app. Now, how do you make projects, right? So if you want to make projects, just start small. First make a card, right? Let's say if an e-commerce, first make a card, right? Then make small functionalities, right? Whatever you see on the UI, right? Just try to create a clone of something, right? How I started is, when I wanted to make an e-commerce, I started by making a clone of Flipkart, right? Or a clone of Myntra. I vaguely do not remember, but it may either be Flipkart or Myntra. That's how I made an e-commerce. I made a travel app as well, right? I made it by cloning Airbnb, right? All the designs I took from there. So as a front end developer, no one is expecting you to know designs, right? No one is expecting you to be good at designing or designing skills, but they're expecting you to write logic in JavaScript, logic in React. That is what companies are expecting. Company here didn't expect me to be very good with my CSS, but they expected me to be good at my logic. Okay. Then after this, basically comes Redux, a state management library, right? This is also optional. If you want to learn it, you can learn it, right? Then there is React testing library. This is a cherry on the cake. If you learn this thing, companies will basically run after you, right? And I'm not just bluffing, or it's not anything like that. But companies will literally run after you if you are good with React testing library. Okay. So can you scroll down? Yeah. So then comes the backend, right? Backend. So first you have to understand what APIs are, right? What are APIs? How REST APIs? So there are good videos on available on the internet about what are REST APIs. So APIs and HTTP methods, these are two different things. What, how do they gel with each other? What is a REST architecture? That is very important to understand, right? So with APIs, you understand what are the resources, right? What are service points? What are all of these things? These different terminologies. So for a backend developer, this is very important. Very first understand what an API is, how server-side rendering works, SSR, what is CSR, how client-side rendering works, how website is actually rendered, how database is connected with the backend, right? After that, you have to learn Express, right? So generally, so what is Express? Express is a framework which is built on top of Node.js, and Node.js is built on top of JavaScript, right? So you learn Express, right? In Express, you basically learn how to create a basic server. You learn what routing is, right? What are there in URL, right? If you see a URL, there are a lot of things in URL. So what actually are there in the URL? So there is something called as parameter. There is something basically called as body, right? So you have to understand what basically is there in the URL. That is very important for a backend developer. Then to create a middleware, create a controller, right? And then handle different exceptions, authentications. So these are very important for a backend developer, right? Then if we scroll down, right, after Express, so if you go down, so there will come a database, right? So can you scroll down? So in the database, there is MongoDB, right? So a lot of so database is so it's not necessary that you have to just learn MongoDB, but since we are talking about MERN stack, we are talking about MongoDB. But even if you have knowledge of SQL or Postgres, that is also good enough, right? So at our firm, right, we are not using MongoDB. So over here at Geo, basically for backend we use Java and Spring Boot, right? But a lot of companies are now basically doing backend using Node.js, right? So you can with for database you can just learn MongoDB, right? What is Mongo? How to set up MongoDB, right? Basics of Mongo, creating a schema, and in all of these CRUD operations. So this is all about the roadmap for a backend development, right? So with Mongo for database also, it's very important to understand how to create small chunks of database, right? Not only one single table, but different small chunks of tables, and different small chunks of database, and then how to integrate between them, right? How to integrate database. This is also very important, right? So that's about the roadmap for becoming an entire front end developer, right? And yeah, so you can stop sharing your screen. Thank you for sharing the screen. Now, talking about list of projects, right? So what all projects you should make? Your project should always be interactive, right? There should always be interaction in your project. If your project does not have any interaction, then it's honestly it does not create a lot of impact onto the recruiter, right? So all your projects should have a GitHub repository. All your projects should also be hosted, right? If you're using front end, you can host it on Netlify, right? If you're using backend, you can host it on something called a Cyclic, which is free, right? Because there was something there was something previously which I used to use for backend deployment, but I do not remember it right now. But yeah, you can use a Cyclic, which is freely available now for backend deployment. So everything should be deployed. Everything should have a live link for it, so that when you add it in your resume, there should be a live link. There should be a GitHub repository. So a lot of students, they send their resume to me on LinkedIn, and they ask me to give referrals, and they say, "Can you just verify my resume?" So I basically go through a couple of resumes, right? And the thing that I always see missing is that there is no GitHub repository link. They just write the name of the project, that I've made an e-commerce. But how will I know that you have made an e-commerce? There should be at least a GitHub repository link. There should also be a live link, right? Why live link? Because no recruiter will basically download your GitHub repository, clone it, and then run it, right? So there should be a live link where they can actually see what your website is, right? So you can do it on Netlify. This is very important to do, right? You should have projects, right? So you can make basic projects like a quiz app, an e-commerce website. So all in all, there are 8 to 10 concepts only, right? Or 8 to 10 topics only which you can make a project. And apart from that, what are you going to make? You can make an e-commerce, right? You can make a travel website, right? You can make a quiz app, you can make a social media, right? Or you can make a component library in React, like a Bootstrap or a Tailwind, right? And then what else you can make? You can make a learning management system. You can make a video library. So these are, so entire, all of the projects, right? All of the projects in the entire world are just sum up in these domains only. So no need to think that everyone is making an e-commerce, so I should make something like that. Don't watch these YouTube videos which just say ki, do not make e-commerce. Companies are not looking for e-commerce. Companies are just looking if whether you are able to create a project or not on your own, right? Creating an e-commerce in itself is a different ball game. If you add payment, if you add address management, that becomes like a complete project, right? I'm not just talking about make wish list, make cart, right? But add address management, add user profile also, add razor pay, like payment integration. You can add razor pay, it's very small, it's a small integration, you can add that also. Add a checkout summary page also. So add these functionalities in your e-commerce, right? And companies are looking for people who can write logic. They're not looking for designers. They have designers, right, with them. They're looking for someone who can basically write logic, make some project from scratch, or even if given a feature, they can at least deploy a feature, right? And use best practices. Like for example, if there is an e-commerce website, and if I have to search something, right? So if I'm searching something, I'll obviously use debounce, right? A technique called as debounce, right? So read about what debounce is, right? What is debounce? So basically when you start typing, it won't give you the search results. It will wait for some time and then it will give you the search result. That is what debounce actually is, right? So use these best practices, right? Whenever you're making any project, right? And then you can make a video library and you clone the projects. Does not matter if you're not able to make your own design. If you're not able to start, just clone it. Okay, clone any project, clone Flipkart, clone Twitter, clone Netflix, clone it. The data is available, right? APIs are available. If you're not able to get data, create your own data. In an e-commerce project, you just add 2025 cards, 2025 products. That is good enough. My e-commerce project has only 20 cards, 20 products. On that 20 products, I'm applying filter, I'm applying search, everything. So 20 to 30 products are also good enough. That amount of data you can create on your own, right? You just have to create a JSON file. So these are the projects, right, that you should make. And host every project, put every project on GitHub and on have a live link as well. So it will help you a lot in getting shortlisted for your interviews. Okay, cool. So now let's go. Let's time for question and answers. So I'm just going through the chat and finding some relevant questions. Right. Cool. So okay, okay, okay. Questions. Okay, so there is this. So this question is asked a lot, right? Where people ask that I'm working in a different domain, I have to change my domain. Will there be a problem? I am a very good example of it. For 3 years, I used to teach robotics. I used to teach robotics and Python, right? In Python also, I used very application-based programming. I used to teach. I used to go to different schools and teach at different schools, government schools. I was working at a startup in Mumbai. So for 3 years, I taught robotics, right? After teaching robotics, I switched into development, right? And then since the past 2 years, I'm teaching development, and now I'm working as a developer. So it does not matter. I have students right now. The course that I'm teaching, I have students who are from commerce background, who are from arts background, right? So they are taking a step where they want to switch their careers. One of my friend, he was doing his literature in English, right? He prepared for 6 months. Now he's a developer at Flipkart, a UI developer at Flipkart, right? So it does not matter. What matters is how mad you are in, switching to a different domain, how crazy you are to make projects, how crazy you are to develop your skills. Company right now have, kept that degree wala criteria aside. They do not. A lot of companies are not wanting for degrees, but they are wanting for you to be a good developer, you to have skills, and then they are ready to put a bet on you. So do not worry on thinking whether it's will it create a problem or not. It does not create any problem. Your degree, anything does not create any problem, right? Okay. Um, what is the best way to learn mean stack or MERN stack? What is the best way to learn anything is to make projects. That is the best way to learn anything, by making projects. See, you will fail, and a lot of people always say, where should I start from? Go to YouTube, right? Go to YouTube. There are a lot of projects, right? If you want a structured project, go to Geeks for Geeks ka development channel. So there is Geeks for Geeks development YouTube channel, right? There we have projects only on React.js, projects only on Next.js, projects only on JavaScript, projects only on HTML, CSS. Watch those projects, right? Watch those videos. Try to replicate whatever the mentor is doing, and then once you do all of these things, you'll have a basic idea of how things are actually working. So you have to get started, right? Okay, okay. Uh, then I answered about DSA. For a front end developer, it's not important, not that important. Okay. Okay. So how to select a best project? I told you about the list of projects. There is no best project. If a project is functional, it's a best project. Okay. Okay. So this is a good question. What type of questions are asked for a front end developer? So majorly, so your interviews generally will be divided into 2 to 3 rounds, right? So I'll tell you how it works. So it first starts with something called as a machine coding round. A machine coding round generally is all about JavaScript. They will give you a lot of questions with JavaScript, right? They will give you an object. They will ask you to create a deep copy of an object, right? They will give you, let's say, an array and ask you, as I gave you the previous example, find the frequency of the characters in an array, right? uh, then basically, let's say they will give you an object which has a lot of different properties, and then they'll ask you to create an array of one single property. Let's say an object has name, age, city. They'll ask you to create an array which will have only the name sorted in alphabetical order, something like this, right? So all the questions will revolve generally around JavaScript. They'll ask you to create, let's say, debounce. They'll ask you to create a stopwatch timer. They'll ask you to create a modal, right? They might ask you to create an accordion, something like that, right? So these type of questions are generally asked in the machine coding round. Then the second round, maybe an assignment. They might give you an assignment. Assignment would be something like this only. uh, Create the cart page of an e-commerce website, right? Or create uh, let's say the like feature for a social media app, right? Create a YouTube play button for a video library, something like this. So these might be some assignments, right? On Or if assignments are not there, then in React, basically they ask you a lot about React questions. They'll generally ask you about hooks. What are React hooks? Then they'll ask you about best practices, how performance optimization works, code splitting. So these are the type of questions. What is virtual DOM in React, right? What is a use state hook? What is props? What is state? What is prop drilling, context API, and all of these questions. Okay. CSS questions will also be asked, right? Whether a very favorite question for all the interviews, how to center a div, right? So you learn about these questions, right? Yeah, the roadmap is sent in the chat as well, so you can see the roadmap. It's publicly available. Anyone can see the roadmap, right? Okay. So how much time will it take to achieve all? Okay, so this is one question from Divyanshu. How much time will it take to achieve all what you have told to do? So the time that it will take for you, if you do it on a daily basis, roughly around, it should take you 6 to 7 months to do everything, right? But if you do it daily, because I did all of these things in 6 to 7 months, that's why I'm saying that it will take you 6 to 7 months. And most of my developer friends have taken this amount of time. So it's an average time, 6 months, but provided you do it every day, at least for 2 to 3 hours. If you could take out this amount of time, 2 to 3 hours, it will take you 6 months with projects, with all projects, and you'll be interview ready also after 6 months. Okay. How much DSA is required for a as a full stack development? So see, this question, no one can give you an exact answer. How much DSA is required, or how much JavaScript is required, how much React is required, how much this is required. Nothing is never enough, right? In which interview which interviewer might ask you which question you do not know, right? So you do not have, there is no fixed answer for this, how much DSA is required for as a full stack developer. But all the algorithms that are there, all the data structure that are there, you should have a good amount of knowledge for that, right? And Sandeep sir has covered everything with DSA. I think he is one of the best that we have with DSA. So you can watch his video, right? And you can watch. There are a lot of YouTube videos as well, right? So there are a lot of YouTubers who have made videos on how much this is required, how much that is required, what type of questions are asked. You just watch them and make your own notes, make your own this thing, and you'll be able to know, right? But do not come up. Do not have this thing in mind that if I do this amount of thing, then I'll be interview ready. It's, you will never be interview ready, right? You have to you just have to believe in yourself that you will be able to solve problems. If you are able to solve questions, if you are able to solve problems, you're interview ready. And uh, you will be interview ready when you keep on giving interviews. You'll fail interviews, right? You'll fail multiple interviews, and then you'll crack one interview. That time you'll understand whether you're interview ready or not. How to, oh, I think this question everyone will love a lot. How to generate side earning in the field of web development and designing? Web development can give you a lot of money as a freelancer as well, right? I have made a lot of freelance project and I've earned good amount of money only working on a Saturday and Sunday for 8 to 6 hours, and I've made good amount of money. So what you can do is you can create your account on Fiverr. It's a freelancing website. You can put your projects, whatever you have made, and you can pitch in also, right? And not with that also, right? You can uh, and then yeah, over there you can just keep on searching for people's requirement, and then pitch in what you can do for them, what you're able to do. So freelance initially is like a hustle where you have to basically do all. So from outside everything looks very good, right? We always say that the grass is greener on the other side, but when you go to the other side, you'll also have stones, you'll also have thorns as well, which are pinching you, right? So freelance looks good from the outside, but it's quite a struggle, right? So if you're ready to do that as well, not lose hope, right? You can't say that okay, in 1 or 2 days you'll get a gig, a freelance gig. If you get, then wow, it's, what can I say? But it takes time. It takes 15-20 days. It takes sometimes months also to get your first gig. But once you get your first freelance project, then you keep on getting a lot of freelance projects, right? So just go on to Fiverr, and but for that you have to first make projects, showcase the person that you can make these projects, right? There are a lot of people, lot of students as well, who want to make their college projects, and so you can just take that, make the project, give it to them, charge money. That's it. Which platform you can get internship and job? So Geeks for Geeks has a lot of internship opportunities. Keep watching them. And apart from Geeks for Geeks, I think there is Intershala, something called as Intershala. You can just go on to Intershala. There have a lot of internship opportunities. Right now there are a lot of companies are giving you good internship opportunities. You just have to participate in their competitions, like Google Code Jam, right? Google Code Summer, right? Summer G, all of these things. Microsoft also has, Samsung has this, Atlassian has this. All of these big time companies have a lot of internship opportunities, so you should grab them, right? Even startups are giving internship options. Even at Geo we have internship opportunities, right? So you should go onto the page and see for internship opportunities as well. So we have a lot of interns. There are interns which are working with me also at Geo. What kind of database you can use instead of MongoDB? You can use any database. You can use SQL. You can use Postgres as well. You can use a lot of database for it. Um, DSA to development course. Should I go for it for non-IT people? Will we get placement? So see, as I told you, there is no placement guarantee over here. There is placement assistance, right? Where if you so there is a test. Once you complete the course, there is a test. You have to give a test. If you qualify the test, we will make sure that you get at least interview calls, right? We will make sure that you will get interview calls, and then that process then depends upon you, right? Guaranteed placement, I do not know what people offer with guaranteed placement. I do not know any have any idea about that. but we will make sure that you at least get interview calls, right? And then it depends on you how you can basically take it, right? DSA to development, should I go for it for non-IT people? So it completely depends on you, your call, your choice. Just go through the syllabus, right? Or as since you are someone who is from non-IT, I'll suggest you to just take development course for now, and then you can take DSA course later on. Right? That's a very honest opinion that I could give you. Take Since you're not coming from an IT background, DSA would be like a bigger stone on your head. So first learn development. Once you learn some programming language, understand programming nuances, understand writing basic logics, basic solving basic examples, then you can take this DSA course as well, right? Okay, let's take this question. For skill-based hiring, which my college is going to conduct, will I stick to MERN stack or have two skills, that is front-end development and Android development? Just have one, okay? First, focus on one. See, you should master something. It should not be like jack of all and master of none. You should not be like that. You should master one thing. Once you master one thing, then you can learn Android as well. There's no harm in that. See, the good part is that of learning React is that if you learn React JS, you can learn React Native also. React Native is for Android development, and it does not have a lot of different functionalities, but it's almost one, and the almost has a lot of common functionalities as well. So first, master one thing, either Android or either MERN stack, whatever is your favorite, whatever is your calling. First, master one thing, then go to the other things. Right? I'm not saying since I'm teaching MERN stack, you go with MERN stack only. No, depends on you. If you like Android, go with Android. If you like MERN stack, go with MERN stack. But first, master one thing. Okay. How to deploy a website that uses Node.js and MongoDB? So earlier I used to use something, but now it is paid, right? So I think you can search for Cyclic. Yeah, Cyclic you can deploy, right? Yeah, Cyclic I've deployed. There is something called a Cyclic, CYCLIC. So over there you can deploy Node.js and Mongo, I think. Yeah. Oh, how many months should we invest in becoming a full stack developer? As I told you, roughly around 6 to 7 months it will take for you to become a full stack developer. Number of hours, it depends on you. If you can study 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, depends on you. Study as many hours as you can. Okay, so this is one other question. Uh, she's talking about the full stack development with React JS course. She's saying that it will have 15 to 20 sessions. Is that sufficient? So it will have 20 sessions. So why we have come up with a course which have 20 sessions? Because we are also giving you recorded courses, right? Which will have lifetime access. Right? I sorry, not lifetime access, but I think 1 to 2 years of access, right? Which we are giving these courses as well. And these sessions are for do not look them at 20 sessions, but look in terms of hours. So these sessions go roughly around 40 to 50 hours. So 40 to 50 hours of learning is a good amount of number, right? Good amount of number to learn something, right? And where there are mentors, so you can basically interact with mentors, you know, uh, where the mentors basically will be teaching projects, so it's live project, live coding as well. So it will be sufficient enough for you to at least get started in your journey, where you can also make projects on your own as well, right? Okay. Okay. So cool. If you have any other questions, you can put the question across. Right, we are almost appearing to the end of the session. Right. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for waiting. Also, right. I kept everyone waiting for at least I think 15 odd minutes, and I'm really sorry about that because didn't intend to do that, but network issue. Um, cool. So yeah, keep on learning. Again, just telling about the Geek Olympics. Just go through the website. There are a lot of problems of the day. There are a lot of questions. There are a lot of uh, good things for you, right? Where you can learn and then you can get your goodies as well, right? So over here for goodies, uh, you do not have to pay someone. You do not have to do something extra. You just have to learn, right? You just have to work on your own self. The more you work on your own self, you will basically get goodies according to that, right? So that's about the Geek Olympics. And then all the courses at Geeks for Geeks right now have a discount of at least 30%. Every course, DSA course, full stack development course, data analysis course, right? Web development course, backend with Python and Django, right? Android courses, JavaScript courses, Python courses. Every courses, firstly, they are pocket friendly. And on top of that, they all have 30% discount as well, right? So you can use, it's a good time to invest in these courses, because development is like soaring a lot, right? There are a lot of good opportunities in development, and then in the months to come also there will be more opportunities in development, right? So if you just you know come into it and just utilize it with all your all your mind and all your soul into it, you can definitely get a good job within the next 6 months, right? Cool. So that's it, I think, from the sessions. And thank you for joining in. I will see you on the other side. Thank you. Bye bye.